Well, good morning. You're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. Well, today is the second day of Vlogtober, so I thought I'd bring you along with me. It's a Sunday. Donald and I did not have any grandchildren that usually come on Sundays. It's our day of rest, our day at home, and the time that we use to catch up with each other and just relax and have a rest day. Well, I'm going to go out here in the garden and I'm going to cut some fresh flowers. And I thought I'd take you along with me. Now, you know, Hurricane Ian did hit the Carolinas, which we're in North Carolina, the upper part that's closer to the mountains, but still there was some, rough areas. I mean, just because we're not up in an area where there's a lot of coast, we're not close to the coast, doesn't mean that sometimes these areas up here don't suffer a lot of damage. We didn't suffer a lot this time, but there are hurricanes in the past, I'm telling you, that have really devastated North Carolina. They've really been detrimental, especially along the coastline. I remember Donald and I was on a business trip. I can't remember which hurricane it was, but we went down to Lumberton, North Carolina, because they were building properties. They were building apartment buildings down there in Lumberton. And so we went down there. We were going on a business trip just to check and see how those properties were doing. Those properties, it was so much devastation. Just driving down there and seeing that amount of devastation took its toll on me. In fact, we ended up not being able to complete and make it down there to the apartments to check on them because the flooding was so severe in Lumberton. And then on the way back, it was just so rough getting back. It took such a toll on me to see that amount of devastation. So don't think that North Carolina doesn't have some rough hurricanes, I'm telling you. Ian was a hurricane, I think Hurricane 1 when it hit, and it had 85 mile per hour winds. It flooded most of Myrtle Beach in that area, and it was pretty rough. And to see Fort Myers, Florida in the shape that it's in, wow. Seeing that on the news, it's just, that's terrible, terrible damage. What a catastrophe. But I say all that to say, we didn't have it as rough this time, thank goodness. But, we have had our share of hurricanes hitting our coast and having to deal with a lot. We get a lot of it up this way. Usually what happens is North Carolina, we have red clay soil here. So our trees grow closer to the surface of the ground. The roots don't go down as deep and as it does in other soils, say a loam or a sandy soil. The tree roots don't go down that far here in North Carolina, in the state of North Carolina with the red clay dirt. They grow closer to the surface. And what happens there is when we have these strong winds, 85 mile an hour winds and more, they just blow trees over. And you'll see trees laying over with their whole root systems sticking up. And that's what we see a lot around here. And the thing about these trees is they blow on cars and kill people, and they blow on electrical lines, power lines, and it creates a lot of trouble. Plus, there's a lot of flooding in North Carolina. I made a short video on after the storm. I was so pleased that there was no more damage than there was. And no, my little video short was not catastrophic like Fort Myers, Florida, but I was just letting subscribers and family and friends know that it wasn't too bad here. And today, when we walk out here into the garden, I'm saying all of that to say There's some stuff and debris everywhere. But it's a minor thing compared to what many are putting up with. So it is no big deal to me. I'm coming out here. I don't want to show you my tags on my car and things like that. But you can just see that most of the pine needles and the stuff just blew. You can see the pine cones and the pine needles and things that just blew off of the tree because there was so much wind. And it just looks really messy. And that's about all there is to it here. You know, Donald's got to get out here with the blower and blow everything off and do some cleaning up. And we didn't lose power, which is always a great thing because, you know, we can lose power for, you know, weeks at a time. If, you know, the right thing blows down, then we're just suffering that. But, and of course, you know, being out of power is not the most important thing, but it's really, I'm really glad to get out here and this just be all there is to it. Now across the street there are trees, and you always hear those trees when those winds get up like they do. Those trees just break and fall over there in that little wooded area across the street. I'm always so glad to have this little wooded area because it's a good break when you're in the city to be able to step out and see trees. That's something that I need to see. But there was probably some broken trees down over there in the woods because we did hear them break. But we don't know, you know, how bad it is in other areas. This is just what it's like here. But I wanted to step out in the garden. I'm a creative mind. I have an artist background. I have some education in art. I love art, self-expression. My children are artists. We have creative spirits, and we're just creative. And so coming out here this morning on my day off, I wanted to go out here and see what beauty I could find in this garden and just clip some of it and take it back in the house and make a beautiful flower arrangement and just enjoy my day off and be thankful for all of the good. And so that's what I'm going to do today. That's what I'm bringing you out here for, so you can go along with me while I clip some of the beauty out of the garden, out of this late fall garden, before it is too late to capture anything out of it. There are a lot of things that are turning brown. They're at the end of the stage of their life. I'm not going to do any gardening work today. It's just like a rough kind of day. You can see all over the driveway. The leaves on this purple basil is just beautiful. especially at this time of the year. My little granddaughter, she was in love with these zinnias. Got some of these little marigolds. While I'm out here, I'm noticing that we're having some blooms form here on the angel trumpet plants. And I, of course, cannot wait to share with you those beautiful, beautiful flowers when they open up. You can see it right here. That's the whole bloom. That thing is probably 8 to 10 inches long. And when that opens up and blooms, it'll be awesomely, awesomely beautiful. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Look at that pretty rose. Isn't that pretty this morning? Still got some roses popping out on the knockout rose. This little mum that I've had for quite a few years, the house used to be close to this color. And so when I had this mum out here, it matched perfectly. And now it's blooming. The house is a different color, but it's still really pretty. You know, I love my little garden. I love my little front gardens and all the work that we've put into this out here and how beautiful it is to me. Well, I pretty much have this whole basket full. I'm going to go ahead and take them in and see what we can do to make a beautiful arrangement and enjoy some of the stuff we've grew in the garden this year. Here are my beautiful plants and flowers that I harvested. They're in my little flower basket here. Here are the ones I harvested a few days ago. They're looking a little worse for wear, but I think some of them will be okay to reuse. I have more water, ice. I have sugar in both of my vases. This is actually a crystal ice bucket, but I'm going to go ahead and use it and arrange flowers in it today. I'm not an expert flower arranger. I just love beautiful flowers and I love the garden and what comes out of it. So I just bring them in and enjoy them as much as I possibly can, especially when it's nearing fall and it's getting to be the end of the garden. You know, it makes me really want to appreciate and bring in what I have. Now here I have 3 aspirins in this little mortar and pestle. Well, it's 2 aspirins. I'm going to ground these up and put them in my water. That'll make my flowers last a little bit longer. I'll get a little added value out of them. I love fresh flowers. I think they're so worth the money. If we lived near a farm that had fresh flowers, I would definitely buy them from their little stand. Or even at a farmer's market, I would definitely buy fresh flowers. Okay, I have aspirin, so I'm just going to add about half of each of this to each one of these vessels that I've got for arranging flowers here. Now, you know, I like vines and flowy things, so I got some periwinkle. That's what this vine is. So I'm going to just start with that. Now, the thing about these vines is that they will sometimes root, and then you have new plants. You can bring them in and enjoy them in your flower arrangement. And then when you get ready to take them out, if they're rooted, then you'll be able to use them and plant them if you want to. Now, I'm going to enjoy these types of arrangements while I can because, you know, I've got those 2 kittens that are in the bathroom. They will be coming out before long. I've got them in the bathroom making sure that they know how to use their litter box before I let them out into the full openness of the house. Now, I'm not a professional florist, so I'm just sticking my garden bounty that I went out and harvested out of the garden. I'm just putting it in here in a way that pleases me, that I think that's pretty. Just trying to balance out and use what I have here. It smells so good, these herbs and everything out of this smells so good to me. As you can see, there's no rhyme or reason. Just bringing them in to enjoy them. I actually picked that sage to use in a dish that I'm going to make later. I'm going to go ahead and use some of the ones that I have already picked because they're still beautiful. I'm going to add some ice to this one. And when I add a little more water, that'll help these to last longer. There we go. There's our simple morning flower arrangements that I made with the things that are growing in the garden. Beautiful, simply beautiful. Aren't those beautiful? Well, happy second day of October, and thank you for joining me for this Vlogtober video of me just picking some flowers out of my after Ian garden out there with everything blown around and bringing them in and making a beautiful flower arrangement or two, making two beautiful flower arrangements. Thank you for joining me today, and like always, until next time.